Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity and emotion. True to her word, Jenny began exploring the job opportunities Serena had researched. They spent evenings huddled over the computer, crafting the perfect resume and cover letter. Serena insisted on using Jenny's chosen name, arguing that it was better to be upfront from the start. But what if they Google me? Jenny fretted, chewing on her lower lip as she stared at the screen. What if they find out about before? Serena squeezed her shoulder reassuringly. Then they'll see a qualified candidate who has the courage to live authentically. Any company worth working for will respect that. Despite her nervousness, Jenny submitted applications to several promising positions. To her surprise and delight, interview requests started rolling in almost immediately. The first interview was a nerve-wracking experience. Jenny stood in front of the mirror, smoothing imaginary wrinkles from her carefully chosen outfit. A tailored blazer over a silk blouse, paired with a modest skirt and low heels. "You look perfect," Serena assured her, coming up behind Jenny to wrap her arms around her waist. "Professional, confident, and entirely yourself." Jenny leaned back into the embrace, drawing strength from Serena's unwavering support. "What if they can tell? What if they think I'm—" "Stop," Serena said firmly, turning Jenny to face her. "You are a talented, intelligent woman with a wealth of experience to offer. That's all they need to see." Taking a deep breath, Jenny nodded. "You're right. I can do this." "You absolutely can," Serena agreed, pressing a quick kiss to Jenny's cheek. "Now go knock their socks off." The interview went better than Jenny had dared to hope. The company representatives were warm and welcoming, focusing on her qualifications and experience rather than her appearance. By the time she left the office, Jenny felt a glimmer of real hope for the future. More interviews followed, each one bolstering Jenny's confidence. She began to relax into her authentic self, letting her personality shine through alongside her professional expertise. It was after the third interview that Jenny broached a subject that had been weighing on her mind. They were curled up on the couch, Jenny's head resting in Serena's lap as they watched a movie. "I've been thinking," Jenny said softly during a lull in the dialogue, "about telling my parents." Serena's hand, which had been gently stroking Jenny's hair, stilled for a moment. "Are you sure you're ready for that?" Jenny nodded slowly. "I think so. It's not fair to ask them to keep calling me their son when I'm not." Serena resumed her soothing caresses. "Okay. How do you want to do it?" They spent the next hour discussing options, weighing the pros and cons of various approaches. In the end, they decided on a face-to-face conversation. Jenny's parents lived a few hours away, close enough for a weekend visit. The drive to Jenny's childhood home was tense, filled with nervous energy. Serena kept one hand on the steering wheel, the other firmly clasped in Jenny's. They had decided it would be best for Jenny to present as Bill for this initial conversation to ease her parents into the truth. As they pulled into the driveway of the modest suburban house, Jenny's grip on Serena's hand tightened. "I don't know if I can do this," she whispered, panic edging into her voice. Serena turned off the engine and shifted to face her wife. "You can," she said firmly. "You are strong and brave, and no matter what happens in there, I'll be right by your side." Jenny nodded, taking a deep, steadying breath. "Okay, let's do this." The reunion started off pleasant enough, with Jenny's parents welcoming them warmly. Her mother, Ellen, fussed over them in the kitchen, insisting on feeding them before any serious conversation could take place. Jenny's father, Robert, peppered them with questions about work and their plans for the summer. It wasn't until after dinner, as they settled in the living room with coffee, that Jenny finally worked up the courage to broach the subject. "Mom, Dad," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "There's something important I need to tell you." Ellen and Robert exchanged a glance, concern etching lines on their faces. "What is it, son?" Robert asked. "Are you ill?" Jenny winced at the word son, but pressed on. No, nothing like that. I'm transgender." A heavy silence fell over the room. Ellen's coffee cup clattered against its saucer as her hand began to shake. Robert's brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean, transgender?" he asked, his voice gruff with incomprehension. Taking a deep breath, Jenny explained. She told them about the feelings she'd had since childhood, the years of hiding and pretending. She spoke of the joy and relief she'd found in finally embracing her true self and the unwavering support Serena had provided throughout the journey. As Jenny spoke, Serena watched her in-laws carefully. Ellen's eyes filled with tears, her hand pressed against her mouth. Robert's face was a mask of shock, his jaw clenched tight. When Jenny finally fell silent, the tension in the room was palpable. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Ellen rose from her chair, crossing the room in quick strides. Before anyone could react, she had enveloped Jenny in a fierce hug. "Oh, my darling," she murmured, her voice choked with emotion. "I had no idea you were carrying this burden for so long. I'm so sorry." Jenny melted into her mother's embrace, tears streaming down her face. "You're not disgusted?" Ellen pulled back, cupping Jenny's face in her hands. "Never, you're my child. Nothing could ever change how much I love you." Robert cleared his throat, drawing their attention. His face was a storm of conflicting emotions. I don't understand all this," he said gruffly. "But I know I don't want to lose you. We'll figure it out." Relief washed over Jenny's features as she turned to include her father in the embrace. Serena watched from the sidelines, her own eyes misting over at the scene. The conversation that followed was long and sometimes difficult. There were moments of confusion, of hurt feelings and misunderstandings. But through it all, the love between parents and child remained unshaken. As the evening wound down, Ellen turned to Serena with a watery smile. "Thank you," she said softly, "for loving our child so completely, for supporting her when we couldn't." Serena squeezed Jenny's hand. "Loving her is the easiest thing in the world." They left that night with promises to visit again soon, to continue learning and growing together as a family. As they drove home, a palpable sense of relief filled the car. "That went better than I ever dared to hope," Jenny said, her voice filled with wonder. Serena smiled, reaching over to lace her fingers with Jenny's. "You underestimate how lovable you are." The weeks that followed brought more positive changes. Jenny received a job offer from one of the inclusive companies they had researched, a position that would allow her to work as her authentic self from day one. As they celebrated the news over a bottle of champagne, Jenny raised her glass in a toast. "To new beginnings," she said, her eyes shining with joy and hope. Serena clinked her glass against Jenny's. "To living authentically," she added, "and to love that knows no bounds." As they sipped their champagne, both women felt a sense of possibility unfurling before them. The road ahead might not always be smooth, but they would face whatever came together, bound by a love that had only grown stronger through every challenge. As the champagne bubbles fizzled in their glasses, Jenny and Serena shared a look of pure contentment. The weight of secrets and fear that had burdened them for so long had finally lifted, replaced by a sense of liberation and excitement for the future. "You know," Jenny mused, twirling the stem of her glass between her fingers, "I never thought I'd be here, living openly, starting a new job where I can be myself from day one. It feels almost too good to be true." Serena reached across the table, clasping Jenny's free hand in her own. "But it is true. You've worked so hard for this, love. You deserve every bit of happiness coming your way." Jenny's eyes misted over, her voice thick with emotion. "We've worked hard for this. I couldn't have done any of it without you." They fell into a comfortable silence, basking in the warm glow of their shared accomplishments. The soft strains of jazz filtered through the apartment, a playlist Serena had carefully curated for the evening's celebration. As the night wore on, their conversation drifted to the future. Plans that had once seemed like distant dreams now felt tantalizingly within reach. "I've been thinking," Serena said, refilling their glasses. "Maybe it's time we started looking for a new place, somewhere we can really make our own, start this new chapter properly." Jenny's eyes lit up at the suggestion. "I'd love that. Maybe something with a little more space? Room for a home office, perhaps? And a proper garden," Serena added, warming to the idea. "You've always wanted to try your hand at growing vegetables." They spent the next hour hunched over Serena's laptop, scrolling through real estate listings and dreaming aloud about the possibilities. By the time they finally crawled into bed, their minds were buzzing with visions of sun-drenched kitchens and cozy reading nooks. The following weeks passed in a whirlwind of activity. Jenny threw herself into preparations for her new job, while Serena juggled her own work commitments with their house hunting efforts. They spent weekends touring properties, debating the merits of various neighborhoods and architectural styles. It was on a crisp Saturday morning in early autumn that they found it, a charming craftsman-style bungalow on a quiet, tree-lined street. The moment they stepped through the front door, both women felt a sense of rightness settle over them. "This is it," Jenny breathed, her eyes wide as she took in the warm wood tones and abundant natural light. "This feels like home?" Serena nodded, already envisioning where their furniture would go. "It's perfect." They made an offer that very afternoon, giddy with excitement and nerves. When their real estate agent called a few days later to say it had been accepted, they celebrated with takeout from their favorite Thai restaurant and a bottle of wine on their soon-to-be-old apartment's balcony. "To new beginnings," Jenny toasted, echoing her words from a few weeks prior. "And to making this house our home," Serena added, clinking her glass against Jenny's. The process of moving was equal parts exhausting and exhilarating. They spent long days packing up their old life, sorting through years of accumulated belongings. Each item sparked conversations and memories, some bittersweet, others filled with laughter. "Do you remember this?" Jenny asked one evening, holding up a slightly tattered stuffed rabbit. "You won it for me at that county fair, back when we were first dating." Serena grinned, reaching out to stroke the rabbit's worn ear. "How could I forget? I spent way too much money trying to knock down those milk bottles. My arm was sore for days." Jenny hugged the toy to her chest. "I love it even more now than I did then. It reminds me of how you've always gone above and beyond for me." Serena crossed the room, wrapping her arms around Jenny from behind. "And I always will," she murmured, pressing a soft kiss to her wife's temple. Finally, after weeks of preparation, moving day arrived. They watched with a mixture of excitement and trepidation as burly movers carried their boxed-up lives into the waiting truck. "Ready?" Serena asked, giving Jenny's hand a gentle squeeze as they stood in the empty apartment one last time. Jenny nodded, her eyes misty but her smile bright. "More than ready. Let's go make some new memories." The first few days in their new home were a chaos of unpacking and organizing. They bickered good-naturedly over where to hang artwork and how to arrange the living room furniture. But as the boxes dwindled and their belongings found their places, the house began to feel truly theirs. One evening, about a week after the move, Jenny found Serena standing in the doorway of their new home office. The room was still a work in progress, with boxes of books waiting to be shelved and a desk covered in computer parts. "What are you thinking?" Jenny asked, slipping an arm around her wife's waist. Serena leaned into the embrace. "I was just imagining you in here, working on your latest project. How amazing it is that you can be fully yourself, both at home and at work now." Jenny's heart swelled with love and gratitude. "It still feels surreal sometimes, like I might wake up and find it was all a dream." "Not a dream," Serena assured her, turning to face Jenny fully. "Just the life you've always deserved. They shared a tender kiss, the promise of their future together reflected in each other's eyes. As autumn deepened into winter, Jenny and Serena settled into a new rhythm in their home. Weekday mornings found them sharing coffee at the kitchen island before heading off to their respective jobs. Evenings were spent cooking together in their spacious new kitchen or curled up in front of the fireplace, sharing the details of their days. Jenny thrived in her new position, her confidence growing with each passing week. She formed fast friendships with her coworkers, reveling in the freedom to be her authentic self without fear or hesitation. One chilly December evening, as they decorated their first Christmas tree in the new house, Jenny paused, a glittery ornament dangling from her fingers. "I've been thinking," she said, her voice thoughtful, "about the future, our future." Serena looked up from the box of decorations she was sorting. "Oh, what about it?" Jenny took a deep breath, steeling herself. "What would you think about expanding our family?" Serena's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and hope flickering across her features. "You mean having a baby?" Jenny nodded, suddenly nervous. "I know we've talked about it before, in abstract terms, but being here, in this house, living openly, it feels like the right time, if you want to, that is." Serena crossed the room in 2 quick strides, pulling Jenny into a fierce embrace. "Of course I want to," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "I've always wanted to raise a family with you." They spent the rest of the evening curled up on the couch, the half-decorated tree forgotten as they discussed their hopes and fears about parenthood. They weighed the pros and cons of adoption versus fertility treatments, debated the merits of different parenting philosophies. As the fire crackled in the hearth and snow began to fall outside their window, Jenny and Serena felt the stirrings of a new adventure beginning. The path ahead might be challenging, but they faced it with the same love and determination that had carried them through every obstacle so far. The new year dawned bright with possibility. Jenny and Serena threw themselves into researching their options for starting a family. They attended information sessions at local adoption agencies and scheduled consultations with fertility specialists. "It's overwhelming," Jenny admitted one night as they pored over yet another stack of pamphlets and informational packets. "There's so much to consider, so many decisions to make." Serena reached across the table, squeezing Jenny's hand reassuringly. "We'll figure it out together, step by step. There's no rush." As winter melted into spring, they made their decision. They would try for a biological child first, with Serena carrying the baby. If that didn't work out, they agreed they would pursue adoption. The process was a roller coaster of emotions. There were moments of excitement and hope, balanced by periods of anxiety and disappointment. Each negative pregnancy test felt like a small heartbreak, but they clung to each other and to their shared dream. It was on a warm day in early summer that their persistence finally paid off. Jenny arrived home from work to find Serena waiting for her, practically vibrating with nervous energy. "What is it?" Jenny asked, concern creasing her brow. "Is everything okay?" Wordlessly, Serena held out a small white stick. Jenny's eyes widened as she recognized the pregnancy test, a clear plus sign visible in the little window. "We did it," Serena whispered, happy tears spilling down her cheeks. "We're going to have a baby." Jenny let out a joyful cry, sweeping Serena into her arms and spinning her around the living room. They laughed and cried together, overcome with the magnitude of the moment. The months that followed were a whirlwind of preparations and anticipation. They transformed their guest room into a nursery, debating paint colors and crib styles with good-natured intensity. As Serena's belly grew, so did their excitement. They attended birthing classes together, marveling at the miracle taking place within Serena's body. Jenny was a constant source of support, rubbing Serena's aching feet and indulging her midnight cravings without complaint. One lazy Sunday afternoon, as they lounged in the backyard hammock they'd installed that spring, Serena placed Jenny's hand on her swollen abdomen. "Feel that?" she asked softly as a series of small bumps pressed against Jenny's palm. "She's saying hello." Jenny's eyes filled with wonder. She? You think it's a girl? Serena shrugged, a secretive smile playing at her lips. Just a feeling. We'll find out soon enough. As it turned out, Serena's intuition was correct. At their next ultrasound appointment, the technician confirmed they were expecting a daughter. They left the clinic in a daze of joy, already debating names and imagining their little girl's future. The final weeks of pregnancy were a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. They finished the nursery, stocking it with tiny clothes and stuffed animals. Jenny insisted on installing the car seat herself, triple-checking that it was secure. You know, Serena commented one evening as they folded yet another load of baby laundry, I never doubted you'd be an amazing mother, but seeing you like this, so prepared and devoted, it just confirms what I've always known. Jenny paused, a tiny onesie clutched in her hands. Really? Even with everything? Serena set down the socks she'd been sorting, moving to wrap her arms around Jenny's waist. Especially with everything? Your journey has given you so much strength and empathy. Our daughter is lucky to have you as her mom. Tears welled in Jenny's eyes as she leaned into Serena's embrace. I love you, she whispered. Both of you. Their daughter, Olivia Rose, made her entrance into the world on a crisp autumn morning. Jenny held Serena's hand throughout the long hours of labor, offering encouragement and support even as her own nerves threatened to overwhelm her. When the doctor finally placed Olivia in Jenny's arms, time seemed to stand still. She gazed down at the tiny, red-faced bundle, overcome with a love so fierce it took her breath away. Hello, little one, she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. We've been waiting for you. The first few weeks at home with Olivia were a blur of sleepless nights and endless diaper changes. Jenny and Serena took turns getting up for middle-of-the-night feedings, supporting each other through the challenging transition to parenthood. Despite the exhaustion, there were moments of pure magic. Jenny found herself mesmerized by Olivia's tiny fingers and toes, marveling at the perfection of her daughter's features. Serena loved nothing more than the quiet moments of nursing, bonding with their little girl in a way that felt almost sacred. As Olivia grew, so did their confidence as parents. They settled into a routine, finding joy in the small milestones. The first smile, the first laugh, the first time Olivia rolled over. One evening, as Jenny rocked Olivia to sleep, singing softly under her breath, Serena leaned against the nursery doorframe, watching the tender scene before her. What? Jenny asked, noticing Serena's intense gaze. Serena shook her head, smiling softly. Nothing. Just, I love seeing you like this. You're such a natural. Jenny glanced down at Olivia's sleeping face, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. I never thought I'd have this, she admitted quietly. A family of my own, the freedom to be myself. Sometimes I still can't believe it's real. Serena crossed the room, pressing a gentle kiss to Jenny's forehead. Believe it, she murmured. This is our life, our family, and it's only going to get better from here. As Olivia grew from a baby into a toddler, Jenny and Serena faced new challenges and joys. They navigated the terrible twos with patience and humor, delighting in their daughter's growing personality, even as they sometimes despaired at her stubborn streak. Jenny threw herself into motherhood with the same determination and passion she brought to everything in life. She organized playdates, researched the best preschools, and spent hours reading to Olivia, doing different voices for each character in her daughter's favorite stories. Serena watched her wife blossom in her role as a mother, falling in love all over again with Jenny's nurturing spirit and boundless enthusiasm. Together, they created a home filled with laughter, love, and acceptance. As Olivia approached her 4th birthday, Jenny and Serena began to discuss the possibility of expanding their family once again. They both loved being parents and felt ready to take on the challenge of another child. This time, they decided to pursue adoption. The process was long and sometimes frustrating, filled with paperwork and home visits and anxious waiting. But finally, after months of anticipation, they received the call they'd been hoping for. "There's a little boy," their social worker explained over the phone. "He's 2 years old and he needs a forever home. Would you like to meet him?" Jenny and Serena exchanged a look of excitement and nervous anticipation. "Yes," Jenny breathed into the phone. "We'd love to." 2 weeks later, they found themselves in a small playroom at the adoption agency, watching as a shy toddler with curly brown hair and big brown eyes peeked out from behind his caseworker's legs. "Hi there," Jenny said softly, kneeling down to the boy's level. "I'm Jenny, and this is Serena. What's your name?" "Ethan," the little boy whispered, his eyes darting between the two women. Serena joined Jenny on the floor, her voice gentle as she spoke. "It's nice to meet you, Ethan. Would you like to play with some blocks with us?" Slowly, cautiously, Ethan emerged from his hiding place. As they built towers together and shared quiet conversation, Jenny and Serena felt their hearts expanding to make room for this sweet, vulnerable child. The adoption process moved quickly after that initial meeting. Within a few months, Ethan was officially part of their family. The transition wasn't always smooth. Ethan had nightmares and moments of insecurity, and Olivia had to adjust to no longer being an only child. But with patience, love, and professional support when needed, they found their rhythm as a family of 4. Years passed, filled with the ordinary miracles of family life. There were first days of school and skinned knees, family vacations, and holiday celebrations. Jenny and Serena watched with pride as their children grew, each developing their own unique personalities and interests. Olivia inherited Jenny's passion for science, spending hours conducting experiments in the backyard and peppering her mothers with endless questions about how the world worked. Ethan, quieter and more artistic, filled sketchbooks with intricate drawings and built elaborate worlds out of Legos. Through it all, Jenny and Serena's love for each other only deepened. They made time for date nights and weekend getaways, nurturing their relationship even as they poured themselves into parenting. One evening, as they sat on the back porch watching Olivia and Ethan play in the fading summer light, Jenny turned to Serena with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. Serena raised an eyebrow, confused. "For what?" "For everything," Jenny replied, gesturing to the scene before them. "For loving me, for supporting me through my transition, for building this beautiful life with me. I never dreamed I could be this happy." Serena leaned in, pressing a tender kiss to Jenny's lips. "Thank you for being brave enough to be yourself," she murmured. "For trusting me with your truth. Our life together is more amazing than anything I could have imagined." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of pink and gold, Jenny and Serena held hands and watched their children play. They had faced challenges and overcome obstacles, but through it all, their love had only grown stronger. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.